Hey everyone, Rick here with the Ditch Pig. The family and I went camping this weekend. We took the Yukon and we took the pig. We went out to South River Lake just for one night. Just the way that time went, it's all we could get in. And we ran into an issue with the pig where I had fixed that wheel bearing, or not really fixed it, tore it apart, checked it, and tightened everything up. I thought it was good to go. But as we hit the trails, the fire roads, yeah, it was making some noise, and you could just tell that's what the deal was. Even on the road, you could hear like a roaring sound, which is pretty crazy to hear over top of the noise that these things make. So you can see it here, but you can really see it here. So I'm gonna have to tear it apart again and investigate. Crappy thing is the wheeling event with my wheeling club, 4x4 event for the end of summer event, weekend of wheeling, whatever we want to call it, with Valley Off-Roaders. It's this weekend. This is Monday, and it's this weekend. I do have old bearings that I took out. They're not perfect, obviously. That's why I changed them, but they're still solid. I changed them last August. I don't know why I only got a year out of this side. The last set I had, I got 10 years out of. Anyway, I have them. That's what I'll end up putting in it probably, unless Griffin's has a new set or something like that. They are pretty common, and they're cheap. They're only $50 a side. The only thing I'm really worried about is if the spindle's screwed, because usually when bearings go that bad, it just welds the inner race right to the spindle. So we'll tear it apart and see what happens. Yes, sir.
She gone.
Alright, I got it apart. There's the inside bearing, the bigger bearing. As you can see, some shit went south. I'm not exactly sure why, but she was coming apart. So they're all present and accounted for. That was the only one that came out, but yeah. There's a whole bunch of, it looks like dirt, but it must have got contaminated or something. I can't see the seal letting go though, because I mean it was a brand new seal. But anyway, something happened. I'm going to jam a bearing in it and send it again. So the spindle doesn't look real great, but to be honest, it doesn't look any better than when I put it back together last August. And when I mean last August, I mean like a year ago August. Like when I did the LS swap, I've changed like almost every yoke on this thing. I changed almost every U-joint. Yeah. So this bearing made it a year and did that. So anyway, I'll throw one of the old bearings back in it. Like I say, the cage on them, the races weren't bad. They were just a little loose in comparison. And those were put in 2010. So I had the driver's side go. I had to buy a spindle that time and a new locking hub. So I just bought 2 hubs, and I bought Dana 70 stub shafts and upgraded everything then. So, but something crazy to mention, that brake rotor came on the truck when I bought it, and you could tell it was pretty new. But when I bought the truck from Adam, it already had those rotors on it, and that was in 2007. So somebody before him put them on it. He only had it a few months, but whatever those rotors are, they are a good quality rotor. But anyway, I'll swap up the bearing, shove it back together, and hopefully we're good to go. I'm just glad that spindle's not screwed. Alright, as I was taking this hub apart and getting the rest of the stuff out, I changed the race and whatnot. I got thinking about it, and the deal is the old seal and this old spindle where there was rust on it and whatnot. I mean, the mating surface there wasn't, but yeah, it probably didn't have a good seal. If you look when you put it on there, like, water can get in by that. So probably what happened was it got contaminated, I would say. I was thinking maybe it was just a defect in the bearing and it heated up because everything was black in there, but I think it was dirt. I think dirt got in on it. Once you dunk it, you're supposed to pack them, tear it apart and repack them every time you dunk it anyway, which I don't do. It's a fair amount of work to tear all that apart. So yeah, I don't always do it. I mean, if it gets a real good dunking and it's super gritty and whatnot, but the last time I went out wheeling, which was with the club, which was Salty Skull, it was in the pudding. Like, it was down in it, and with that spindle not being great, I mean, that seal was brand new, but I found a brand new one in there, and you can see, like, look at that lip on there, the sealing lip, it's gone, right? So grit and whatnot ate that. That's why when you go out wheeling with these things, everyone's like, yeah, must be fun going in the mud. No, it friggin' sucks because it's like 3 hours of pressure washing. Like, look at all the paint that's off the frame. That's from pressure washing. Like up here, it's when I did the LS swap, that I put that paint on and I haven't pressure washed it there. But back there, it just peels it right off. And that was POR 15 I put on that, plus black urethane automotive paint over top of that, and it didn't last. It just comes off. So every seal and every U-joint all throughout the truck, when you run that through grit, it gets in between the seal and the mating surface and just chews it. So for me personally, yeah, when I first got this truck, I was like gung-ho about dunking it in the mud, and that's what it's for, and yeah, it's so much fun. And then I was like, oh man, this sucks pressure washing this for 3 hours, trying to get it out every nook and cranny and crevice. It goes in everything, right? And then it retains water and it just rots your truck. If you look back at some of the pictures and videos on my Facebook, you can see like how rusty this truck got. It just disintegrated it. I purposely don't usually jam this in the mud. Once in a while I will, but most of the time I don't. And that's why. Because it just ruins all the surfaces. So there's a brand new seal. I didn't know I had it, but I found it. You look at how hard that goes on, and it's got a good sealing surface. So I wire wheeled that. Yeah, it takes a little bit of material off it, but it's worth it. There's the old bearing, as you can see. Yeah, it's got a little bit of rust on it, on the cage. They're loose anyways when they're not packed with grease, but I did pull out the old race. You can see there's like marks on it that, like I say, that was new a year ago. That's garbage. And the race for this bearing, so it mates up, I beat that in there, so I'll put this new seal in, and that'll be as good as it gets for this old girl. And next trip around, when it needs bearings, I'll just have to buy a spindle, because like I say, this could be like 40 some years old, this spindle, right? The only reason I changed the last one is because the bearing went and it just welded the race right to the spindle. So anyway, I'll throw it back together and it should be good to go. Okay, back together. Everything looks 100%. You can hear the golf ball rolling around inside of it. Just threw it in there to try and balance it a little bit. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. I used 2 in my boggers and they did, but this one here wobbles pretty bad, but that might have been the bearing. But yeah, cleaned up the brake pads, put some brake grease on all the metal parts in there, on the piston stuff. So the next video that you guys will probably see will be from the wheeling weekend. I'll try to get that edited up once I get the footage and whatnot. We're hoping for an epic time with no breakage. We'll see what happens. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you in the next video.